Okay, big news, shaking things up a bit. Coinbase Global, ticker COIN, right?
That's the one.
It's officially joining the S&P 500 index.
Yeah, it's a pretty major development, actually. It sort of bridges that gap between digital assets and, traditional finance.
And who are they replacing?
They're stepping in for Discover Financial Services, DFS.
Gotcha, DFS. And this is happening soon.
Yep, the change takes effect before the market opens on Monday, May 19th. So, pretty quick turnaround.
Wow, okay. So let's talk market reaction. What happened when this news hit?
Oh, it was immediate. The stock, Coin, it just surged in after-hours trading.
How much are we talking?
Well, we saw reports of over 8% jumps. Then another source said around 11%.
11%.
Yeah, and others mentioning, more than 9% and 9% bounce in late trading. It was definitely significant.
And that was on top of gains during the regular day too, wasn't it?
Exactly. It had already gained nearly 4% during the normal trading session that Monday.
So a strong day capped off by this news. Did the price hit any notable levels?
It did, yeah. In that after-hours action, it touched $225 per share.
$225. Haven't seen that since January.
That's right, back in January. Before that, the stock had closed the regular day at $207.22.
And Coinbase trades on the NASDAQ, right? What's its market cap looking like now?
Still on the NASDAQ, yep. And the market cap is hovering around $53 billion, though I saw one report peg it slightly lower, like $50.8 billion. Still a hefty valuation.
Definitely. And hey, if you're finding this breakdown useful, maybe take a second to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us out.
Yeah, definitely appreciate the support.
So moving on to the significance here. Why is this such a big deal? People are calling it a milestone.
It really is. Think about it. Coinbase is the first, and right now, the only company that's primarily focused on crypto to get into the S&P 500.
The first one. That's got to feel like validation for the industry.
Absolutely. You hear industry folks like Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong saying exactly that. It signals, staying power, legitimacy almost.
What does it mean practically for investors?
Well, it's huge for exposure. Suddenly, millions of average investors, maybe through their retirement accounts or ETFs that track the S&P 500.
Right, those index funds.
Exactly. They'll now have indirect exposure to a major player in the crypto space. Same goes for all those model portfolios managed by big institutions.
And historically, stocks added to the index tend to rise.
Generally, yes. There's this sort of mechanical buying pressure. Index tracking funds have to buy the shares to match the index composition.
So it could drive up the price, at least in the short term.
It often does. And some analysts are predicting a pretty substantial increase in Coinbase's daily trading volume because of this. More eyes, more trades.
It really feels like a growing acceptance, maybe. Wall Street taking crypto more seriously.
I think that's a fair takeaway. It's another sign of the crypto industry becoming more integrated into the established financial system, less on the fringes.
Okay, so for people less familiar, let's zoom in on Coinbase itself. What exactly do they do?
Sure. So Coinbase operates a cryptocurrency exchange. By most measures, it's the largest one based here in the U.S.
You can buy and sell crypto there.
Buy, sell, and also staking. They facilitate staking of digital assets, too.
Staking, okay. And how long have they been around? When did they go public?
They were founded way back in 2012. So they've been in the crypto game for a while. They went public more recently in 2021 through a direct listing on the NASDAQ.
Right, the direct listing. Now, getting into the S&P 500 isn't automatic. There are rules, right, like profitability.
Oh, yeah, strict criteria. Profitability is a big one. You need to show a profit in the most recent quarter.
Correct.
And also, your cumulative profit over the last 4 quarters has to be positive.
And did Coinbase meet that? How are their financials looking?
They did. In their latest quarterly report, they posted a net income of $65.6 million.
$65 million, which sounds good, but how does that compare?
Well, it's actually down quite a bit from the $1.18 billion they reported the year before, but that's largely due to accounting for crypto investment valuations. The key thing for S&P inclusion is that they were profitable.
Got it. And revenue.
Revenues saw a nice jump, actually, up 24% year over year, hitting $2.03 billion compared to $1.64 billion.
Okay, so profitable, revenue up year over year. Any caveats?
Well, compared to the previous quarter, revenue was down a bit, and they did fall slightly short of Q1 earnings expectations, but again, still profitable overall, which met the S&P requirement.
Interesting. Anything else notable about their operations?
Yeah, a couple of things. They actually have a contract with the U.S. Marshals Service.
Really? For what?
For managing and selling digital assets seized by the government.
Oh, okay.
And also, they provide custody services, basically holding the Bitcoin for several of those big Bitcoin ETFs that launched recently from major asset managers.
So they're pretty embedded in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And headquartered where?
San Francisco, California. That's their home base.
All right, let's pull back again and look at the broader market context. How was Coinbase stock doing before this announcement?
It's interesting, actually. Leading up to this news, in 2025, Coinbase shares were actually down about 17%.
Down 17%. How did that compare to, say, Bitcoin?
It underperformed Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin itself had gained around 10% during that same period.
Speaking of Bitcoin, it's had quite a run recently too, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Big price spike. It broke past $100,000.
So, $100 case. Getting close to its all-time high.
Very close. Approaching that record from January. Figures around $102,980, $103,469, even $103,467 were being thrown around. So big moves there.
And any other major news from Coinbase lately? Acquisitions, maybe?
Yes, actually, a huge one. They announced plans to acquire Deribit.
Deribit. They're a crypto derivatives exchange.
That's right, based in Dubai. And the deal is valued at $2.9 billion.
$2.9 billion. That sounds massive for the crypto space.
It's reportedly the largest deal in the crypto industry to date, seen as a big strategic move for Coinbase to expand internationally, especially in derivatives.
But even with all this, the S&P inclusion, the acquisition, the stock price isn't back at its peak.
No, not yet. It's still well below its high from back in 2021, which was over $357 per share.
Right. Just shows the volatility, doesn't it?
Definitely highlights the ups and downs inherent in this market.
And just remind everyone, the S&P 500 itself, it's basically 500 of the biggest U.S. public companies, right, across all sectors.
Exactly, a benchmark for the whole U.S. stock market. And Coinbase isn't the only recent addition. Companies like Dell, Palantir, Supermicrocomputer, CrowdStrike have also joined recently.
Good context. So wrapping this up then, Coinbase joining the S&P 500, clearly a pivotal moment.
Without a doubt, not just for the company, but it really signals something for the broader digital asset industry and its ongoing integration into mainstream finance.
What are the potential implications you see going forward?
Well, it could certainly lead to more investment flowing into the space, wider acceptance perhaps. It could also push traditional financial institutions to engage more deeply with digital assets.
Makes you think, doesn't it, about how finance is changing, how these digital assets are becoming, well, less alternative.
It really does. It raises questions about, what investment portfolios might look like in the future, how both individuals and institutions think about diversification in this evolving landscape.
Definitely something for you, the listener, to consider as this all unfolds.
Yeah, it's a fascinating space to watch right now.
Thank you for tuning in. If you found this discussion helpful, please do give us a like and consider subscribing for more content like this.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
We'll catch you on the next one.